Well, The Great Inspiration is not just a book, it's a journey. So what it does is it takes you through a process where you're changing your habits and not just, on the surface. Other books tell you what to change and it feels like it's just surface things. But what it does is go deeper, and it goes into changing your habits, into changing your thoughts. You become more aware of yourself. And that change is what people need in order to become better, to become more positive, to become on track. So it's not just a book, it's actually a journey, and that's exactly what makes it extremely different.
What inspired me to write this book is just watching how most people struggle with everyday life, tasks, and so on. So we wanted just to try and motivate people, to inspire people to do greater things, to do what they want to do without the fear of failing.
The motivational lessons, they were quite beneficial to the children, especially looking at my class. I had some pupils who had no confidence. They looked down upon themselves. But after they were having the lessons, I could see quite a marginal change. There was an improvement. Most of them, they were able to tackle tasks which they could not do before. So these motivational lessons, I think they brought something that will inspire the pupils, and they discovered themselves and they were able to do tasks which they could not do.
First of all, let me say I'm very grateful for the lessons, because I've seen quite a lot of improvement in many areas of my son's life due to the motivational lessons that he has had. To start with, there was lack of confidence on his part. He was on the disadvantaged side of lacking confidence. But from the time that he started having these lessons, I began to see some positive change, and he began to set himself goals that I never knew he was dreaming of. That's just one part of the motivational side of it. He grew in confidence and he became focused.
Okay, the motivational lessons that we had was one of a kind that I had not seen in many schools. First of all, it benefited the students that we're teaching, especially the grade 7s. As they are in the puberty stage, there are so many changes that they experience. So the lessons that they had with Mr. Tai helped a lot, in that it first made them be open to speak the feelings that they have, especially when it comes to their social life. They were able to even relate with the owner of the school. Sometimes they're not able to relate to teachers, but the way that they spoke to the facilitator, he helped to see or to find the problems that they were having, especially at home. And it also helped them to open up in the areas that usually parents do not even know that their children are having problems in life.
Okay, for a start, let me say, I'm very happy that the motivational lessons were developed into a book, or I can say, I'm very happy that the lessons saw the birth of an inspirational book. Now, with the lesson that my child was having with one of the writers of this book, they changed him a lot. He became one person who appreciates everything that he has. I was having this is almost like his second year at the school, but in the first year I didn't notice a lot of things, but in this second year he can now speak to me. He is free with me. He appreciates what we have. He appreciates everything that he has around him. he appreciates them. And in some instances, when he are talking about certain things, certain issues, he incorporates some of the course that he learned in the lessons.
Well, what I feel about the book is that it's supposed to try and help you first realize what you do have first before actually start stating what you want to accomplish or what you would want to have in your life. So instead of always just looking at the future, it's also good to look at the past, current things that you have, so you can appreciate what you currently have. One of my favorite things in terms of my projects that I've done is to talk about wealth. Because when we talk about wealth, there are so many people who have the wrong idea of what wealth is. If you ask most people what wealth is, they would say that wealth is having money, it's having properties, having cars, and so on. But when they continue to say that we want more wealth, they fail to realize that most of them have been wealthy this whole time. For example, when we talk about wealth, if you look at having family also means that you're wealthy. If you have friends, you're also wealthy. If you have good health, you're also wealthy.
Well, I feel that the motivational lessons in this particular book are very important to young people growing up, and in fact, those who are adults who missed on the book might want to read it and get to know how life is all about.
Right, the book, I've managed to go through the book, and it's quite a good book. Actually, it helps adults and children as well. I can tell you that one thing that I found interesting about the book is it talks about confidence building, especially this quote that says, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend the rest of his life thinking that it is stupid, something like that. And the book also talks about health, caring for your body. It also encourages people who go to work to also take part in sporting activities. The book also talks about time management. One thing I also like about this book is it touches on how to budget money, especially the topic about money, whereby it's talking about we should teach children from a tender age how to budget their money and how to use the money wisely, so that when they grow up, they don't have to blame themselves should they fail to become successful in life. So the book is actually good because it also touches on success even for adults. When you're in the corporate world, you also want to learn how did someone make it. For example, the book talks about the person who invented the light bulb, failed 1,000 times, and then at the end managed to come up with something meaningful. So it teaches that maybe in life we should keep trying until we reach our set goals. So the book is quite handy and useful to both learners as well as us parents.
The book has been, it came at the right time, I suppose, in my life, amazingly. So it was actually exciting to read especially the first part. Like, I'm still on the first topic, mindfulness. I'm enjoying how it's so real. Like, I thought I would brush through the pages, but this book has been amazing. It's real. Like, it's helping me be aware of who I am, something that I never had growing up. Like, especially like in school or at home, you hardly get these skills. Like, no one is there. Like, people don't know the importance of building self-confidence in their children or anything like that. So with my background, like, there was no one to teach me these skills like mindfulness and being grateful. You know, you have to be grateful eventually. So sometimes it's not that practical, but what this book is doing is it's making me aware of who I am and how to maneuver in life, and as I am pursuing my dreams and all that.
In terms of sport, one important aspect is confidence and self-esteem. And if you look at the book, mainly centered on self-esteem and boosting confidence of the reader. In sport, if you are confident, you are half the athlete that coaches are looking for. Then talent becomes the other half. So with half achievement of what the coaches design an athlete, you are already there. So the book speaks volumes in as much as self-esteem and confidence is concerned. So in my view, it's very relevant to athletes to read that book, not only to read and live the work that is being talked about in the book.
Well, it has benefited me in many ways. I've learned a lot about personal relationships, about religion, about handling your monies, about trying to know what it means to be alive. In fact, it reminds me of my teaching days when, as school headmaster, we had a subject called Education for Living. And in fact, I wish we had that text during that time, because now young men and young women at school, growing up in school, can learn something from this particular book.
Okay, so for this book, for me personally, it's really something that I felt that I needed growing up, because I'm a last born, and even if you're not a last born in Zimbabwe, as long as you're a child, you are treated as a child. And then all of a sudden, you just told you're an adult now, so you need to know how to manage your money. You need to know how to manage your own time. You need to know what you want in life. And all this time, those things are not left in your hands. So for me, that was really shocking and really difficult for me to deal with. So for me, writing this book specifically for kids was to get them to transition to realize that you're not a child, you're not an adult, you're not an old person, you're human. And these are important things that every contributing human should know. So I really felt like if I had this book growing up, so many things would be different in my life, and I wouldn't be only chasing my dreams
For me,
now.
writing this book, I've always wanted to write a book in a way that helps people. I've always been interested in helping people, I just haven't found the best possible way to help people at a larger scale. So me doing my projects, how this book started, was pretty much just to try and help people, even if it's smaller groups at a time. And when Prim said that we can write a book on your projects, I was saying that no, that's a good idea. We should write the book. So that's how Prim started writing the book, and I was just giving her the content on what to write and how to write them. So my work experience with her writing the book, I think I mostly just had to explain to her what I was doing with my projects, also doing a bit of encouragement on my part to her, to motivate her to write the book. So we pretty much make a great team together, working with her writing skills, with my experience with helping people and staying motivated.